Ah, fantastic. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to have this presentation. Would like to start with some facts about the COVID. Cyprus currently is in the amber category, which means that visitors from the UK have to present PCR test on their arrival. The PCR test is not necessary for people who have been vaccinated. So those who have been vaccinated can enter only with the NHS app proof that they have been vaccinated. Of course, coming back to the UK, it will be subject to the UK status, which means that they have to do their PCR tests again when they come back. We are hoping that Cyprus will be soon in the green category, which means that no PCR tests will be necessary, or that there will be a concession for the vaccinated again, that that they can come back and avoid the quarantine. In Cyprus, the COVID situation is being handled quite well. We have, lately about 200 new cases a day and no deaths at all. So, and the people can, everything is open, the hotels, the restaurants. Inside some spaces you have to wear a mask. But outside the mask is not necessary. Yes, so this is the situation. We hope that it will improve and that, as I said in the beginning, that Cyprus will be placed in the green category soon, sometime in July, perhaps. Right, to start with the presentation, this is, of course, the map of Cyprus. You know that Cyprus is situated between Asia, Africa, and Europe, the eastern side of Mediterranean. We have about 850,000 inhabitants. And there is, of course, the resorts of, as you know, Paphos, Ayia Napa, Protaras, Larnaca, and Limassol mainly, but also the Troodos Mountains region. The two airports are situated in Larnaca and Paphos. And just some statistics before the COVID situation. In 2019, we had 4 million visitors to Cyprus, out of which 1.5 million were from the UK. So UK is by far our most important market. Yes, we can go to the next slide, please. Yes, so this is some of the average temperatures by month. You see here the heading, we say it's we have 340 days of sunshine, might be even more. You see now in July, the average temperature is 91 degrees Fahrenheit or 33 Celsius. Yeah, then it gets more or less the same for August and September, and then gradually starts to go a bit lower. But you will see also that even in January, we still have like 16 degrees Celsius in the daytime. Yes, we can go to the next slide, please. Right. So, you know, I wanted to mention that obviously Cyprus is not only the the beach and the sea and the sun. It's also a lot of other interesting locations, like this little village here that you see. Next slide, please. And of course, I mentioned before the Troodos Mountains. This is one just one photo of the region there. And of course, you're probably familiar with the little castle at Paphos Harbor. And yeah, next slide, please. And of course, not to ignore the beautiful beaches in all parts of Cyprus. Some interesting buildings. This one is the library building in Limassol, for instance. Next slide, please. This is still in Limassol. This is one of the ancient amphitheaters, the Curium. It's just about 5 to 7 miles outside Limassol, and it's still being used today for concerts and recitals. It's just fantastic to sit there and watch a concert, and then you have the sea on the side there. And this is again an image from the mountains. It's one of the many water dams we have in Cyprus. That has been used also for some other activities like fishing and canoeing and things like that. This is a photo of an old church. They've got 10 such churches in Cyprus that are all protected in the UNESCO World Heritage, and they are fantastic. They are from the 9th to the 13th century AD, and they have fantastic Byzantine frescoes inside. This is just to talk a bit about the beaches. This year we've been awarded 68 blue flag beaches in Cyprus, which is the most in Europe, in islands in Europe, and also, of course, this is another photo of a beach. And officially, the bathing waters have been also been proven to be the cleanest in the Mediterranean around Cyprus. This is just again to show the scuba diving. Of course, we have in Cyprus a very famous wreck, which is the Zenobia, which is just outside Larnaca, about 8 to 10 miles from the harbor of Larnaca, and it's considered as one of the 10 best wrecks in the world. Yeah, a lot of history, of course, and archaeology. This is the famous tombs of the kings, just next to the harbor of Paphos. One of the many castles. This is the Colossi castle outside Limassol. And yeah, this is part of the archaeological park, which is in Paphos again, with the mosaics, and also next to the Tomb of the Kings as well. A lot of events the whole year around, festivals and events like these, and carnivals, and many recitals, and everything can be held outdoor the whole year, you can see. And yeah, a few slides about the Cyprus food. Of course, you are familiar with the meze, where you get to sample a lot of different dishes, famous halloumi and sheftaljes, yeah, among other things. Yeah, again, sheftaljes here with some pita bread, and yeah, some sweets, lukumades. This is like sweet dough balls with honey and ice cream. A lot of boutique wineries now the last years in Cyprus, with making some interesting wines, combining some local varieties with some imported varieties. And yeah, just to talk a little bit about each region separately, this is of course Paphos with the famous Aphrodite's Rock, and the harbor that we mentioned before, and the archaeological park with the mosaics in the tombs of the kings. A lot of history in Paphos, and also some beautiful beaches like Coral Beach, etc. This is also another photo from Paphos. Next slide, please. Some images from Limassol. This is the new marina that opened a couple of years ago. You can see a lot of big yachts, and on the right-hand side is the seafront in Limassol, which is also quite famous. And Limassol being a big town, of course, with about 150,000 people, it has a lot of nightlife, a lot of shops, and also some nice beaches and some nice hotels, of course. And this is also Limassol. And we go on to the next slide, which is should be Larnaca. Larnaca is also has a very interesting promenade. It's called Finigudos because of all the little palm trees that are there, and famous Church of St. Lazarus in the middle of Larnaca. An old Roman aqueduct you can see on the bottom right of the photo. And of course, the salt lake with a lot of flamingos, usually in autumn and spring. You can see them. Then we've got Ayanapa and Protaras, of course, mostly famous for their beautiful beaches, and yeah, the nightlife, of course. Nightlife, a lot of intensive nightlife in the center, but obviously also very nice hotels a bit on the outskirts that are quiet, and they cater for all for families and older families and couples. And this is another little church from the Protaras area called Agisaranda, cent 40 cents something. Yes. And Nicosia, of course, is the capital. It's of course it's not near the sea, but it's a very interesting city. It's the only divided city in Europe, and it's got a lot of museums and galleries, and of course some beautiful restaurants. And the old part of Nicosia is also very interesting. This is one of the old schools in the center of Nicosia. Next slide, please. And we finish with the Trudels region, which is for me a very beautiful area. I realize that a lot of people, they want to spend their holiday by the beach, but I think it's worth it to to take a day trip, or even to stay overnight in one of the resorts in the mountains with the beautiful the Byzantine churches that I mentioned, a lot of wonderful nature, tavernas, little villages with very friendly and hospitable people that will invite you in for a coffee, and yeah, very nice region. Nice bridges here. Yeah. And yeah, of course, many things to do, including, of course, spa and golf and all sports, outdoor sports like, you know, these action sports, of course, and diving, as I mentioned. A lot of weddings in Cyprus. We get about 4,000 weddings from the UK every year. Okay, not the last 2 years, but normally. It works out much cheaper, of course, to get married in Cyprus than you know, elsewhere. And finally, this is, yeah, some of parts of the old part of Nicosia that I mentioned before. And the sports, yeah, of course, tennis. A lot of teams come to Cyprus for training, for winter training, because of the climate. One of the 4 golf courses that we have, they are all in Paphos region, so somebody can actually play all 4 in 4 days or 1 week. And some new exciting projects like the casino that is being built between Limassol and Paphos, which is going to be one of the largest in Europe. And the new observatory in Trudels Mountains. And that's it. Love Cyprus. I hope that we can all go there soon. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a whistle-stop tour of so much to see. I don't know how it's happened, but I've never had the opportunity to go to Cyprus. Vanessa asked, have the museums opened yet since COVID? So kind of not sure whether that was to Costas or to Robin.
In Cyprus,
but both can answer.
Yeah, in Cyprus they are open, yes.
And most of the attractions are operating normally under the existing conditions, where face mask has to be worn, and social distancing and various things.
Right.
But a lot of the attractions have opened.
Right. Robin, is Gibraltar accepting the NHS app as proof of vaccination?
No, but they're accepting
so you need to get the printed certificate.
The printed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah. Turning. Angela's got a question. If visiting visiting Gibraltar as a side trip from Spain, what's the nearest town city to use as a base? And are the monkeys scary?
It all depends if you're afraid of monkeys. No, they're like
hostile.
I'm answering it in reverse order. They're like dogs. If you annoy a dog, then he'll bite you. So the monkeys are there. They're wild creatures, and if you social distance, then you'll be totally fine with them. but they are wild animals. But they are, they are used to, and they've all been inoculated and everything else. Cut long story short, I wouldn't poke one in the eye, because it might not be too happy with you doing that. And the nearest point from Spain already depends. I mean, Malaga's a couple of hours up the road. I don't know if that answers that one.
Algeciras is the nearest.
La Linea is
La Linea.
is the town that's literally just across our frontier, but there's no airport there. So the nearest airports that in Spain would be Malaga on the Spanish side.
Thank you. Costas, I had a question. You mentioned about combining destinations within Cyprus. How is it a popular island to do a fly drive? So you would deliberately book, I don't know, three nights in one place, 2 nights in another, 3 nights in another, or is it too small to justify doing that?
No, this is actually a good idea, because we also drive on the left side of the road in Cyprus. So, and the roads are not very busy at all. So it's a good idea to do a tour, even a 3-center holiday in Cyprus. I would recommend one center to be in the mountains, and perhaps one in Paphos and one in Limassol or Ayia Napa.
I could tell earlier that you're a big fan of Troodos.
Of the mountains, yes.
So if someone were to do that, they could do, say, a week by a beach and then maybe another week touring around. Yeah,
and they can stay in 2 or 3 different resorts in the mountains or elsewhere. In the winter, there is even some snow in the mountains, so somebody can actually ski in Troodos in the winter.
I'd never known, considering the temperatures you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
but wow, it's got to be high.
It's 2,000 meters high, so it's quite high. Yeah.
Going to be. Robin, I had a question about sort of length of stay. There's obviously a lot more to do in Gibraltar than I might have imagined and thought, and a growing number of attractions. Typically, is Gibraltar regarded as a short break destination, or what kind of length of stay would be right to ensure you don't miss anything?
Well, I mean, what we can go by is average durations, which is kind of telling about what people enjoy to do and the length of stay. And the average duration for our British visitors is about 5 nights.
Okay.
And so a good short break destination. You've got the frequency of the flights that lends itself to a good short break. It's like the best of both worlds. You've got like a city break with the shopping, the town and the attractions and everything that you can do there. But you've also got beaches. So because we were one of the few, we were the only green list Mediterranean destination up to recently. People were coming for longer stays, and they were coming with their families and taking advantage of the beaches, etc. But in usual circumstances, I would say a really good short break destination. And repeat as well. You've got the nice hotels, the restaurants, the cafes, and everything else, and of course the wonderful shopping, and blessed by the weather.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking, Costas, about I think everyone's heard of the famous resorts in Cyprus, and get a sense of what each of the cities and resorts are for, but I was wondering, with your knowledge, whether you had 1 or 2 hidden gems where people could go and get a real, by the sea, but a real sense of Cyprus from I don't know, almost before the tourists, but less disturbed, but more peaceful.
Yeah, the region north of Paphos, which is the Polis Lachi area, which is okay. It could be quite busy during the peak months of let's say July and August, but if you're there in the autumn or the spring, it's not so crowded. And of course, between Paphos and Polis is the national park of Akamas, where the turtles hatch their eggs. And yeah, this is a very nice region. Further along, you have the Pass of Aphrodite, which are also in this area. And there is a lot of nature trails in this area that people can do that are by the sea, and at the same time see some of the the nice nature there.
Oh, that's a great recommendation. Thank you. I have another question in chat, which is a question for both. I'll start with Robin. Again, from this one's from Ali. For someone who's never visited the destination before, what's the one thing you absolutely have to do or experience on your first visit, Robin?
At the top of my head, it's something that would please absolutely everyone, is make your way to the top of the rock, have a cable car, walk up on the Mediterranean steps, and have one of their cocktails at the top of the rock, and enjoy the scenery. So that would be a must for me.
That sounds amazing, and you know, with the views as well.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. And Costas, the same question to you. If you first time visitor, what have you one thing have you absolutely got to do?
Well, as I mentioned already, the Akamas Peninsula is quite interesting, and of course, I mentioned during the presentation the Curium, which is this amphitheater. If you can catch a performance there by if it's a local artist, they might sing in Greek or I don't know, but there is also some international performances there that one can watch, and it's a very nice setting because the sea is in the background, and it's normally very, very nice and serene, and then you hear the music and you see the landscape. Is pretty amazing.
You've both been selling your destinations extremely well, and we're feeling, I think, like everybody, that oh my God, we've got to go. We've got to get away. I'm mindful of the time. In the absence of other questions, it's 8 o'clock. So I would like to thank Robin and Costas for taking us through the presentation this evening, for giving us your insights and your experience of your destinations, and really inspiring us to, if we haven't visited, to visit soon, and if we have already been to your destination, to go back. Because I think, you know, even the most frequent visitor would have found something new to inspire. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for everyone who's either watching the presentation this evening or that will watch the recording later, for learning about Gibraltar and Cyprus. And it leaves me to remind everyone that booking with Charitable Travel as a social enterprise is a way where we can help you with your holiday plans, to have the holiday that you've yearned for through the pandemic, but at the same time help a charity with a donation equivalent to 5% of your holiday price. You know, and so, you know, that's for both Cyprus and Gibraltar is undoubtedly going to mean somewhere around at least a £50 donation to a charity that really, really needs it. And as we know, they've been suffering during the pandemic as well.